Impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon. Good evening, whenever you're watching or listening to the show. I hope everything is going well for you. Special shout out for all of our viewers on Fight TV. And if you haven't downloaded our app yet, just go to Fight, and that's F-I-T-E, fight.tv/Billy C, and download our app today and enjoy what's going on with all of that stuff, because you get a lot of things like pay-per-views that are only available on Fight TV. So download our app today. That's fight.tv/Billy C. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on beautiful St. Simons Island, Georgia. Check out his website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. And don't forget, if you're listening on WGIG in Brunswick, Georgia, which is right down the street from Sal's, head over to Frederica Drive over in St. Simons Island and see what we're talking about. If you haven't had Sal's pizza, you're missing out. And by the way, if you haven't had any of his other great dishes, you're missing out. And if you have, and you haven't had it in a while, you're missing out. So go over to Sal's place right now, especially if you're listening on WGIG in Brunswick, Georgia. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by Gawk Box. What is it? Check it out. Visit our website, our newly remodeled website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the Gawk Box banner, which you'll see on the right-hand side. Click on that and find out how you can get some free stuff, some saves, some money, and help us out all along the way. So check out Gawk Box. And finally, today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molineaux, From Bondage to Better Man on the Planet, is available right now where all great books are sold. And you can literally get a copy of it right now by going to Barnes & Noble or Amazon.com. Find out why we got a 5-star rating across the board, but more importantly, find out who Tom Molineaux was and why I'm so adamant about getting him the recognition he deserves. You're looking to get a signed copy? Well, hey, visit our website and follow the directions there. A lot of stuff today. Alex Perpali will be joining us a little bit later with this week's Blast from the Past. Another request from you guys. This time, former world heavyweight champion Leon Spinks. Leon Leon Spinks. Got a lot of stuff to talk about him. Boxing Hall of Famer Larry Hazzard will be stopping by too. Today's, I got a lot of topics to talk about today, but today, one of the things that bothers me the most in today's news is some of the stuff going on with Canelo Alvarez, which we'll get to in a second. But breaking news, which I just found out moments ago, Aaron Hernandez, who was serving a life sentence for killing his girlfriend's sister's boyfriend. He was a former New England Patriots star tight end who had everything going for him, just had signed a $40 million contract, was convicted of murder, and was doing a life sentence with no possibility of parole. Now, he just got off. They acquitted him of some additional murder charges that they threw at him. He got off of that, but unfortunately that wasn't good enough for Aaron Hernandez because they just found him dead in his cell. He apparently has committed suicide, hanging himself. Aaron Hernandez, dead in his jail cell. Some crazy stuff there. But, getting back to boxing, Canelo Alvarez, as you know, had signed a contract with All-Star Boxing and then decided to kick All-Star Boxing to the curb and sign with Golden Boy. Well, they had a lawsuit and All-Star Boxing won. And now they're going to attempt to garnish his wages. Apparently Canelo owes him a lot of money. I have a lot of thoughts and opinions on fighters and any athlete that signs a contract and all of a sudden wants to go against it. But first, I want to get my man who's joining us right now's thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, even if you're a newborn, please welcome a New Jersey Boxing Hall of Famer, a Guinness Book of World Record holder, and a pretty good restaurant owner. My man, Sal Rocky Senicola. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, Bill. How are you?
I'm doing okay, my man. I'm doing okay. Sal, we got some thoughts, or at least I have some hard thoughts on contracts. And in this particular case, Canelo Alvarez had signed a contract when he first started boxing with a promotional company called All-Star Boxing. He later decided to work with Golden Boy, and through a long, drawn-out process in court, basically, All-Star Boxing won the lawsuit. And apparently, they're looking to get their $8.5 million plus interest that they were awarded from Canelo, and they want to garnish his wages, his purse, from his next fight against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. My thoughts real quick are simply this, Sal. I think that any athlete, not only a boxer, when they sign a contract, they got to adhere to that contract. After the contract expires, that's the time to renegotiate. I can't stand, especially in the boxing business, when all of a sudden, they throw at you, oh, well, I didn't know. I signed a contract. I didn't know. Everybody's always feeling sorry for the fighter, and in a lot of cases, the fighter didn't know. But I feel a fighter should adhere, and any athlete should adhere to their contract. The time to renegotiate and seek a new deal is after your first contract is over. What's your thoughts, my man?
Well, I've been in the middle of a couple of contracts in my past, and I agree. You should adhere to the declaration of the contracts, and when they do expire, or when it's time to renegotiate, that's the time when maybe you could do it. But otherwise, you have other companies legally buying out a contract. I mean, that happens too, and that's happened with me. So there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. It's just to null and void on your own, saying, hey, well, I don't have to adhere to this contract and I can go sign and do something else with somebody else. No, you're going to pay the piper. You have to. It's just part of business, and boxing is an opportunity, and you have a lot of opportunists that want to do what they have to do for self-serving reasons. I mean, it's a big boys game. It's not as clean as everyone thinks it is. Whoa.
Well, even in other sports, and I see it a lot in professional football,
yes,
but most of the time in football, because baseball is guaranteed contracts, and a lot of times, guys get their money no matter what. But in football, nothing's guaranteed, and similar to boxing, I mean, there's no guarantee. I mean, you could, sustain an injury that ends your career. But in football, for example, a guy signs a deal, let's just say, for an argument, he signs a 5-year deal worth $10 million. And 2 years into that contract, the guy playing next to him signs a 5-year deal worth, $16 million. And now all of a sudden, right, the guy making $5 million feels he's being slighted, and then he holds out. He wants to redo his contract and everything else. My thoughts on that, just like similar to what's happened with Canelo Alvarez, is, hey, live up to your 5-year deal, then renegotiate. Canelo, in this particular case, lost his lawsuit against All-Star Boxing, or it was actually the other way around. All-Star Boxing won their lawsuit against Canelo. And I think Canelo needs to pay up. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he made the deal with them. He kicked them to the curb for whatever reason. I'm not saying he didn't have a good reason, Sal.
Right,
obviously Canelo thought that his career would be better handled by Golden Boy, which so far it seems it certainly has been. But a deal is a deal. Most contracts have a buyout clause in it. And I think a lot of this blame should fall on not only Canelo's shoulders, but Golden Boy as well. They should have just said, hey, we got to do what we got to do, buy out the contract. What do you think?
Well, that's what I just said earlier. I mean, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. If you don't understand that there's a contract in force and to respect the contract and to do it right, you're going to buy out the contract. But if you think you could finagle and work around the rules and outline of the contract, it's going to catch you. And that's what's happening here. Obviously, they didn't do it right, so that's what's going to happen now.
Yeah, it's well, hey, more power to All Star Boxing.
Absolutely.
I hope they get their money, and I hope that the Las Vegas, or I should say Nevada State Athletic Commission, doesn't have any kind of BS holdups, and they should accept the judgment and garnish the purse. I don't know what Canelo's making for this fight, but it sounds like he's going to make at least $8.5 million. So.
It's not bad.
Not bad for but after taxes, it's probably only $4
Well,
million.
and you do have, I mean, a standard contract. Let's do the math. Used to be 10% off the top to the trainer, 33 and a third to the manager. Let's not forget about the cut man training camps and everything else coming out of that, and sparring partners and expenses and meals and all that stuff. And then you do have taxes to pay. So, he should be able to walk away with maybe $3 million, I would think.
How can he live on that? Jeez.
I don't know. I'm trying to decide that.
It's funny. Like you hear that all the time. You hear, so he's, the guy hit the lotto for $20 million. Then some bozo will say, yeah, but after taxes, it's only $10 million. I said, so what? Even if you hit $1 million and you lose half of it, it's only $500,000. I'll take it. I'll take. Hey, you know what? Give me $500 clear. I'm happy with that, Sal.
Hey, listen, those people out there that say the lottery can't buy you happiness or do something have a very limited imagination.
Well, not only that, how a lot of people say, hey, money isn't everything. And I always say, yeah, but it sure helps, but
it does though.
Another thing, but we're going to take a break here in a couple minutes, and we're going to be trying something new, so hopefully it works. But anyway, I just want to say that Showtime has made an announcement the other day about some of their spring into early summer fight schedule. And, man, are they kicking the proverbial arse of HBO. First and foremost, it was made official that Showtime will be broadcasting the Anthony Joshua Vladimir Klitschko fight live on Showtime. Now, HBO has their fingers in that pot, too, and they're going to broadcast the same day of the fight, but not live. They're going to be doing a delayed broadcast. So both Showtime and HBO will be broadcasting that really anticipated fight, which kind of screws up our post-fight plan. So we'll talk about that. But in addition, Showtime's got on Saturday, May 20th, they're doing the Gervonta Davis against Liam Walsh fight. Also on the 20th, Gary Russell Jr. against Oscar Escandon, Andre Durrell and Jose Uzelguy. That's and Rancis Barthelemy against Kyril Rekla. That's all on May 20th on Showtime. May 27th, they got the fight that a lot of people are talking about already, Kell Brook against Errol Spence. On June 3rd, they have Adonis Stevenson and Andres Fonfara rematch along with Elder Alvarez and Jean Pascal. In June, Joel Diaz Jr. against Abel Ramos. And they are also expected to announce Adrian Broner's next fight in sometime over the summer, as well as Mikey Garcia. Now, another fight I thought that they were getting. Aren't they doing the I got to double check here, but I thought that who's the Andre Berto fight on? Isn't that on Showtime? Yeah, they this weekend we got Berto and Sean Porter on Showtime. So Sal, they really stepped it up a bit, and I think what we're starting to see with Showtime is a PBC connection 100%. As the PBC is losing their television deals, Showtime is there to pick up the slack. What do you think?
Well, I think it's a perfect crossover. I mean, we saw what the PBC was trying to do last year, and they did some great fights for us that were free right on network TV. And, of course, once the war chest runs out of money and things like this, and that's a good idea, hopefully you would have a parent company or a big company that can come by and say, hey, We're going to pick up some of the slack. We like what you're doing. Your model was okay. We're going to refine it and use it and make it to our advantage, and we're going to see how we can partner up with it. So I think it's a perfect deal.
Yeah.
It's a
Whoa, whoa, whoa! What is that?
Right.
Is that a 55-gallon drum with a handle on it? Don't tell me you got two. How much coffee can one man drink?
Well, I live on coffee. I have more caffeine in my bloodstream than blood sometimes. In fact, my girlfriend got this for me for Easter. It was my Easter basket stuffed with candy and look what it says: the man, the myth, the legend. This is your quote right here.
Yeah, whoa! Why aren't I getting any
It's
proceeds from
bigger than my
that?
head.
Why am I not getting proceeds from that? Those are my coined phrase for you.
But look what you did there.
Oh, that's good.
See,
That's
boy.
good stuff. How did the
Look,
Easter
he's
Bunny
big
carry?
blood.
Hey, geez, the Easter Bunny must be in the gym, man. How did he carry that thing? Holy.
Bobblehead.
Oh, God, that's funny. Hey, listen, everybody, hold that thought while Sal does that. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back in 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Have you heard? Proactive Plus is faster and better than ever. Stay tuned for a 1,000,000 bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. Do you have troubled skin? Acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive Plus, your acne can heal, and you can help prevent new breakouts from happening. Don't miss this limited time offer. Give us a call at 800-567-0214 because we're going to let 1,000,000 people try Proactive Plus risk-free and get 2 free gifts and also receive free shipping when you call right now. You heard it. This offer won't last long. So call Proactive Plus now and you'll receive a 60-day risk-free trial of Proactive Plus, 2 free extras, and free shipping. Call 800-567-0214. This is our exclusive radio offer, never on TV. Get your risk-free 60-day trial of Proactive Plus with free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Don't wait. Call 800-567-0214. That's 800-567-0214.
This message is for all Americans that owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS.
Call the number on your screen now and we will contact the IRS on your behalf, help you end wage garnishments, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, get rid of IRS and state tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify.
Let us take the stress of back taxes and the IRS off your shoulders so you can spend time on the important things in your life, like your family or your business. If you owe more than $10,000, this message is for all Americans that owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now, back to the Billy C. Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Special shout out to all of our listeners on WGIG in Brunswick, Georgia. Don't forget about my man Sal. Swing by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria in St. Simons Island. Get the address, get the phone number, all that stuff from the website, salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or just call them, 912-268-2328. And Sal is with me right now. And Sal, Showtime seems to be winning the battle of the cable networks, right?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you what. Well, they are, and let's not forget about everything that HBO is trying to jockey for position to be in. They've done some great things in the past, and I think last year you and I were talking about HBO being a faded glory kind of item, but commodity. But I think they've rebooted their system. They've seen some success, and they've run some great fights lately. But I'll tell you what, Showtime is going to give them a run for their money, and I'm grateful for that because both Showtime and HBO, in the past, have produced some great fights, and hopefully they'll continue to do so. And we should have a competitive edge and see how they work together. Opposite corners, of course.
We got some emails to read. I wanted to get this first one out. Jesse says, hey, Billy, I read that Indongo must face Lipitz next for the IBF title or vacate it. I think it'll be a hell of a fight, and I see Lipitz winning. But do you believe Indigo will take this fight or wait for the Terrence Crawford fight? Lipet's team mentioned he will not they will not take the step-aside money. I clearly saw Indigo beat Burns. It could have been a shutout, but I was not scoring it. Burns didn't throw enough punches, and when he did throw and pressured Indigo, he had some success, but didn't do it enough. Burns should call it a career. I agree with that. This is one of the problems with all the sanctioning bodies because it's in Indigo's his personal best interest to fight Terrence Crawford. Now, Terrence Crawford, would be a money fight for him. I personally, Sal, I think that if I'm Indigo and I get an opportunity to fight Terrence Crawford and the cost of that particular fight is to give up the belt, the one belt, I would do it in a heartbeat. And this is the problem with these sanctioning bodies that order mandatories. It's actually their fault that fighters don't unify the belt. Now, in Lipet's case, you can't blame him for saying, we're not going to take step-aside money because they're assuming that if he fights Terrence Crawford, that let's say Terrence Crawford wins, then what happens? In a sense, Lipet still gets a guaranteed fight with the winner of the Crawford fight. So I don't know. What's your thoughts on this scenario?
Well, it's a heck of a scenario. You just outlined it one. I think we got to just see how it plays out. It's the influence of the networks and it's influence of the promoters and the money. And it's the need or the greed. We'll see.
Yeah, well, that's the bottom line with that. But anyway, he says, what's your thoughts on Kovalev saying that he overtrained for the Ward fight, and that's why he got tired after the fifth round? What do you think happened to his training? Did he not rest enough? Can you explain the situation of Kovalev's stamina, etc.? Sounds to me like Kovalev's starting to make some excuses, Sal. I mean, the bottom line is the fight was a close fight. I personally felt Kovalev won, but the judges felt otherwise and gave it to Ward. With that said, I can't stand. Listen, as much as I felt Kovalev won, and as much as I like Kovalev, I can't stand when fighters make excuses. I mean, the bottom line is this: whether he trained too much, whether he undertrained, overtrained, whatever, this has been a reoccurrence with him. He runs out of gas. So I don't know. I don't want to hear excuses. I mean, this is one time where I agree with Ward being a prima donna, saying, "Hey, leave the excuses at home. Do what you got to do inside the ring." What do you think, Sal?
Well, I'm very disappointed to hear that from Kovalev, of all people. And he fought that fight, and we know he took his foot off the pedal in the second half of that fight, but he still did enough in my eyes that he should have won that fight. It was the early knockdown and things like that. But however, to make an excuse now and say you're overtraining or overtrained and stale, I mean, if you're overtrained, you don't start off a fight that well. I mean, you're not going to run out of gas. I mean, you're lethargic maybe you're a little bit peaked, as they would say, and stale. But I don't buy that overtraining thing. I think he's just got to get into condition. And a fighter of his status and stature, how your body works. You've been doing it for years, and you try to train and peak just at the right time. That's with your cardio. That's with your gym work, and you train up 6 to 8 weeks, and you tone it down the week before and just sharpen up and drill some things, and your cardios are all ready and everything else, and you go in there and you're ready to be the lion after the meet. Well, maybe not that, but you know what I mean.
You gotta be. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Have another cup of coffee. But
thank you very much. Hey, what am I going to do?
Says,
I got two to choose from now. Oh, look, they're both your face.
Yeah, they're both good-looking guys. I see.
They're both good-looking guys.
Yeah.
Huh? I think I might have a future in doodling or artwork.
I think I could see what you did in class. But that's right, you had no class. Oh, whoa!
Hey,
but anyway, one other point that Jesse makes. Is he says, Billy, why is it taking so long for Joel Diaz Jr. to get on a main card on HBO or Showtime? He has a solid record and is exciting. Mikey Garcia said he sparred Joel Diaz Jr. and said he's strong and hits hard. He's set to fight Abel Ramos, which would be a good fight, but I believe he needs to fight higher-ranked top fighters if he wins. He should challenge names like Robbie Davis Jr., Regis Prograis, Maurice Hooker, Jose Felice Jr., or Walter Castillo. I think there's a simple answer to that, Jesse and Sal. Get your quick thoughts. He's just not a known commodity. I mean, when it comes to this is where I always say that promoters don't promote anymore. Joel Diaz Jr. is a quality fighter. There's no question about it. But the norm, only the diehard boxing fan knows who he is. The cable networks, Showtime, HBO, they want to put a main event fighter that can attract more than just a diehard boxing fan. When they have a guy that other people have heard of, a la Canelo or, some other fighters like Andre Berto and Sean Porter. I mean, fans that aren't diehard boxing fans know who these guys are. They've heard their name, and they may tune in. Joel Diaz Jr. is a guy that, unless you're a diehard boxing fan, you don't really know him. You might make a statement like Diaz. Wasn't he a lightweight, or didn't he fight? Oh, no, not that Diaz. So I mean, that's what I think. What do you think, Sal?
I think you're right. I mean, come on. We're looking at it. You're a commodity. When you're a fighter, you put yourself out there. You're going to promote yourself, and you're going to be a valuable asset to the networks if you have a fighting style that attract millions of viewers and everyone wants to see and is anticipating your next fight and wow, let's see this guy. Or you have an outlandish personality and you do whatever you got to do to entertain and fight and be a figure. Like Ali had it all. He could fight, but he was entertaining, and he was always in the news and media and saying something that would have the shock appeal, like, whoa, wait, let's hear what he has to say next. You don't see the fighters of today doing those kind of things, and I think that to be a fighter who earns his key with the Golden Network, you've got to showcase your talent, and you've got to be a commodity that the networks are going to say, hey, we're going to have millions of viewers watching this guy because he has a devastating style, exciting style, or combination of any one variables. That's it.
Hey, listen, Sal, I wanted to try and get another email in, but
yes.
But instead, I want you to hold up your mugs again because they're in the chat room. They're saying that Sal Rocky Senecola and his pop art. Alex says Andy Warhol-esque. So you might have to ditch the pizza business and go into the art. I mean, you're an artist, Sal.
And that's just with a Sharpie taking 2 seconds. Look at that. I gave you lips on this one.
Hey, anybody? I know. I see that. Quite the. I don't want to. Good thing. I'm
in between heads.
The Three Stooges right there. But hey, listen. If you want to get your copy of a mug, hand drawn and hand created by Sal Rocky Senecola, drop me an email and I'll hook you up. Billy at Talkin' Boxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. And Sal, let's squeeze in one more email here. I got about a minute. So Joel says, with Showtime releasing their entire spring boxing lineup, I was curious about what fight or fight card you and Sal are most looking forward to. I assume we'll have more Billy C. post-fight shows after the announcement, which is only good for us. He says, I'm probably looking, that's his Joel, to the Brooks Spence Jr. card and Adonis Stevenson Fonfara too, because Pascal's on the card. And of course, the Joshua Klitschko fight. It seems Showtime is really putting a kill on HBO for the spring lineup. HBO's only spring card, aside from the pay-per-views coming up is Crawford Diaz. It's disappointing. Well, in my opinion, all of the cards sound really good. I agree, of course. Kell Brook and Spence Jr. Is a big fight. I don't care much about Adonis Stevenson. I think he's a fraud. But the fight that I'm looking forward to mostly, of course, is the one we're going to get to see after at the end of this month, next week, I guess, right? For the Klitschko Anthony Joshua fight. I can't wait for that one. What do you think, Sal?
Oh gosh, I mean, come on, that fight. I can't wait to see that fight. That's coming up, and I'm so excited to see that fight, and also the Ward Kovalev fight. I want to see that as well. and there's a couple others out there coming up. But man, I'll tell you, the Joshua Klitschko fight is one that we've anticipated for a very, very long time.
Yeah, well, he was, of course, the pay-per-views. He was just mentioning the Showtime one. So that was what that was. But in any event, all right. Well, listen, hey Sal, we're going to take a short little break here, and when we come back, we're scheduled to have Larry Hazard join us, and then we got our blast from the past with Alex Perpali. And then we're going to come back to you for the last couple of emails and some final thoughts. How's that sound?
Absolutely, and I'll have a new pot of coffee I could refill my mugs with.
Well, by the time you drink a couple of more mugs, those size mugs of coffee, you'll be running around your room there. So
I'll be running.
Anyway, hey, Sal, you take care. We'll be back in a little bit.
All right, my friend. Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Hey, everyone. We will be back in 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C. first became the champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to the Billy C. Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could join us. And don't forget about my book, Tom Molino, From Bondage to the Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. You can get a copy by visiting our website, BillyCBoxing.com, or just go to Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. Find out why Tom Molino was kind of ripped off when he lived, and he's still being ripped off today. Check it out. It's a great story. Joining me right now, Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey Boxing Commissioner, my man Larry Hazard. What's up, Larry?
Hey, good morning, Billy. How you doing, buddy?
Not too bad, my man. Not too bad. I tell you, there's a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about. And first and foremost, let me get the one fight out of the way. Did you get a chance to see the Ricky Burns Julius Indongo fight?
No, I didn't see that, Billy.
Oh, okay. Well, that was on. As a matter of fact, I just found out that I got that network that it was broadcast on. That fight was broadcast live from Scotland. But I just want to get your thoughts. Try and watch that fight because Indongo is a guy that he's a guy that we're going to be talking about. I mean, he beat Burns, and now he's got not one but two of the junior welterweight titles, and they're talking about him fighting Terrence Crawford for a full-blown unification fight for the junior welterweight division. And I'll tell you what, it looks like he would give Crawford a good fight. I mean, he's a big guy. He's strong. He comes at you. He doesn't run out of gas. I'm interested in seeing him fighting Terrence Crawford. So punch him up and see what you think. But
Okay, I certainly will. I'll do that as soon as we get off.
the fight that I'm sure you did see that was available on Showtime was Dimitri Bivol beating Samuel Clarkson. What was your thoughts of Bivol? I mean, he is a so-called champion with less than 10 fights, and Clarkson was no world beater. But I tell you, Bivol looked pretty impressive. Basically, he left me wanting more. I want to see more of this guy. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he has. He looked pretty good. Just a few rough edges here and there, but I'm like you. I look forward to seeing a little bit more of him, and I think that with the right guidance, with the right, instructions, I think he's going to be someone that has to be reckoned with down the pike. He seems to have his skills down pat. He knows how to utilize the ring, and I enjoyed the fight. I think he really has a future.
We got a question for you from the guys in the chat room. My man Coach says, ask Larry why New Jersey went against 3-minute rounds for female boxers.
Well, we made it an option, Billy. Okay, we didn't go against it. We still have 2-minute rounds if that's the preference of the fighters. But we also gave them the option. It's a 3-minute round option. If they choose to compete for 3-minute rounds, our medical advisors, with whom we check with before we make any decisions that may have an impact on health and safety, they felt that there's really no conclusive evidence that any danger would be experienced by females if they fought 3-minute rounds. And we're in the modern era of sports. There was some noise, I think, recently by some female combatants who wanted the 3-minute limit. So we feel that if the contestants, female contestants, want to compete for 3-minute rounds, there's no conclusive evidence that we know of that should deny them that. So it's not that we went against it, went against 3 minutes or against 2 minutes. It's just that we put it out there as an option for females. Of course, I see where the president of the WBC, Mauricio Suleiman, he seems to be very adamant in his position about 3-minute rounds. He also cited somewhere recently some studies that were done out in California at UCLA. I never saw the studies. I never heard about the studies until the subject came up recently. So, I mean, if those studies were there, it seems to me that this type of information should have been put out in front of the wagon instead of behind the wagon, And so, until such time that our medical advisors tell us that there's a danger there, we'll leave it as an option, and we're satisfied with that.
Well, once again,
there's some other issues that we're looking at, Billy, as it relates to scoring. We're considering possibly using 4 judges as opposed to 3. So we'll see how that goes. But we're still studying that. We do have some research, some experiments that we did do with scoring MMA events. So we'll see how we come out with that. But I feel, as I've always felt here since I became the commissioner in New Jersey, is that we have to be proactive in the sport of boxing. I don't think that we're proactive enough in moving the sport forward. So, when we have good ideas, not just for show, it's not for show at all. It's, we feel that if we're in a position to make progress and move the sport forward in line with traditional sports in this 21st century, that's what we should do. So we're satisfied with what we're doing thus far.
Well, I applaud you. When under your watch, you're always the first commission that's doing the right thing. Every female fighter I've ever talked to wants 3-minute rounds. I mean, it's the same thing. They want to be recognized for, being good fighters, good boxers. And then there's always that, they only fight 2-minute rounds. And everyone I've ever spoken to, and I worked with former multi-division world champ Chevelle Hallback for years, and she was very adamant about wanting to fight 3-minute rounds. I think the WBC totally against it. It's almost to me, it's almost like a prejudice move or a male chauvinist move, is more along the lines. I don't know. Their so-called data, I'd love to see it, because at one point they said that they couldn't handle 3-minute rounds because they have menstrual cycles, which I don't know about you, Larry, but the last thing I want to do is get in a ring with a female fighter during her menstrual cycle. That's when she's going to be mean as a wildcat, So I don't know, man. I'd like to see what doctors conducted that, but moving on to another issue, today it was announced that All-Star Boxing, I don't know if you remember, but All-Star Boxing was the original promotional team for Saul Canelo Alvarez. And then during some point, Golden Boy basically painted the picture. And giving credit to Golden Boy, I mean, obviously they moved Canelo's career in a positive way. He's, a big name in the sport today, et cetera, et cetera. But All-Star Boxing had a signed contract that Canelo just kicked to the curb, and ultimately All-Star sued them. They went through the whole court process and won. Now they're trying to seek a purse garnishment for the judgment that they did win in court with the Nevada State Athletic Commission for his upcoming fight against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And my opinion on this, Larry, is that I believe that fighters, and all athletes for that matter, need to own up to their contracts. I mean, I'm sick of I didn't know. I was, they took advantage of me. They did this. Hey, listen, that's why you put time limits on a contract, and the time to renegotiate, the time to find another contract or a better opportunity is after you fulfill the first one. Or, everybody puts a buyout clause in a contract, make the new promoter pay to buy it out. I mean, I just can't stand when fighters and athletes in general all of a sudden want to redo a contract they've already put the ink to the paper to. What's your thoughts?
Well, you're definitely preaching to the choir, okay, because don't get me started on the number of hearings and the bickering that I have to sit in judgment over with contracts, with fighters signing a deal with the manager, and then someone else comes along and offers them more money or paints a brighter picture, and they go off and sign another deal, and before you know it, they end up at the commission here for a hearing. Look, a deal is a deal, okay? Now, if a fighter signs most contracts, boxer, manager contracts, or whatever the contract is, boxer manager specifically is the contracts in which boxing commissions do have some type of judicial authority over. Most, if not all, boxing commissions do not have authority over personal service contracts, which may exist between a fighter and a promotional organization. But to answer your question, a deal is a deal. So if a fighter signs a contract with a promoter, with a promotional company, or with a manager, then he should live up to that contract for the duration of it. Then, if he feels like he wants to walk away, he becomes a free agent. Certainly, he should try to go now and find him a better deal if he could get one. But he should first honor the contract that he's under, okay? I mean, years ago, there were some fighters who sealed a deal with a handshake with a manager or promoter, and there was never any problem. As you know, as time moves forward, things change, times change. But a deal is a deal, Billy, and if a fighter signs a 5-year deal with a manager or a promoter, he should live up to that. And if he hears about someone else getting a better deal from someone else, then if he wants to explore that avenue at some point, then wait until your present contract is over and then make your wishes known that you like to, move on and talk to some others, or give that. If you're satisfied with the personal treatment that that particular individual has been rendering you, then it would be even nice if you gave them a chance to top the new deal. Start a bidding war and offer your services to the one who could give you the best deal after you satisfy your present contract. So if All-Star Boxing, I think, won that case, and I think with all the facts being what they are, and if the Nevada Commission feels that those facts are in order, I think they will. I don't see any reason why they won't honor that ruling, but I certainly think that that a deal is a deal, and that in all fairness to all parties, fighters should honor that present contract before moving on.
100%. I agree with you, and some of the blame has to be put on Golden Boy, because it's not like Golden Boy Promotions is a new promotional company. I mean, even when they hooked up with Canelo, I mean, at that point, the first listen, I'm in the business. The first thing I ask a fighter, are you under contract with anybody? Are you sure? Have you ever signed a piece of paper? And if the answer is yes, well, then I want to see the contract. What is there a buyout clause? What's the term? Is it still valid? All of these things, and a lot of that burden, I feel, should fall on Golden Boy in this particular case. And Golden Boy has the resources and the people in place to review these contracts, and in fact it was a valid contract, which obviously the courts felt it was. Then they needed to take the proper steps. If there was a buyout figure in there, they needed to write the check. So it's not just Canelo, but at the end of the day, it's Canelo's name that we're talking about. It's Canelo who owes the money. So I just hope that Nevada follows through. I think that a lot of eyes are on the Nevada State Athletic Commission right now, Larry. Not only for this issue, but the much talked about possible fight between Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor. I think ultimately a lot of that is going to fall on Nevada. I personally can't see that Nevada State Athletic Commission approving that fight, regardless of the amount of money that will be on the table, because at the end of the day, you still have a pro debut fighter fighting against a future Hall of Famer with 49 fights with no losses. I mean, unless it's an exhibition, I can't see that happening. So a lot of pressure on Nevada, right?
Yeah, a lot of pressure. I have respect for for Bob Bennett, who runs the Nevada Commission. He seems like a guy who is pretty level-minded, level-headed, and tries to do the right thing in boxing. But I have read somewhere where he has made statements to the fact that he does believe that the fight that the match, I don't want to, misquote him, but he was making an analogy between what was the? Oh, I want to kick myself. I'm having that, that senior moment this morning. That the fact that he never fought. The fighter who fought Floyd Patterson right out of the Olympics. Don't you remember back in '56?
Yeah, that was his pro debut, and he
Right.
Not only did he fight out of the Olympics, but he fought for a world title. That was a title fight, right?
Yeah, it was a title fight. I forgot his name, but anyway.
Rademacher.
Rademacher. Pete Rademacher.
Yeah.
Pete Rademacher. Yeah, I would have kicked myself after we got off the air because it would came to me then.
Don't do that. Hey, don't do that. You're still a pretty tough guy. You don't want to kick the crap out of yourself. Come on, man.
But anyway, Billy, I did read somewhere where Bob was using that. He used that as an analogy. So it gave me the opinion that he at least is thinking about it, but that he was kind of leaning in terms of whether the fight should or could take place, because he's offering, he offered that as an analogy as to any argument that because McGregor never had a professional fight, and the fact that McGregor does have a tremendous knockout record in MMA and some of his other physical attributes and performances. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but it's a great deal of pressure on Nevada, and I certainly don't envy him at this point. Now, if you ask me personally, I just don't. I'm just not feeling it myself. This is Larry Hazard's opinion. I'm not feeling a McGregor fighting Mayweather, and I know it's all about the money. I do understand that, but at some point, as a regulator, and really as anyone who really has their heart. Well, I don't want to say that because you could have your heart in the sport too. But as a regulator, I just simply feel that I owe it to the sport to not give it a little bit more prestige and credibility, to allow that. I feel that a fighter should work his way through the ranks, and then you're dealing with a fighter like Floyd Mayweather, who has a record that's monumental in the sport of boxing, that he's obviously going to put that on the line if he wins. So now if he wins, he didn't really win against a legitimate fighter, boxing, So these things, to me, I hold a lot of these things sacred. So a lot of what I'm saying is basically not without any real facts. A lot of it is just my feelings. But if it were my decision, I think I would be kind of leaning towards not, approving it myself. That's just my opinion. It could change as time goes on, but right now, that's the way I feel.
Well, I'm with you. I mean, if they announced it as an exhibition, I'll be the first one to buy it. An exhibition is would accomplish everything except giving Floyd a 50th win. But it would accomplish everything else. Should Conor McGregor win, it gives him the glory of beating Mayweather. Everybody makes their money. We still have the fight, et cetera, et cetera. As far as the comparison from the Nevada State Athletic Commission mentioning like Pete Rademacher, he was a gold medalist. So I mean, this was a guy that had an accomplished amateur career at the highest level you can, fighting international competition. So you could make an argument, even though I doubt that, today, I mean, they let, what's his name, fight, Lomachenko fight after one fight. But I mean, the truth of the matter is, at least those guys fought in the boxing ring. McGregor never has, he's been and I don't care how many knockouts he has in MMA, it's not boxing. So as an exhibition, termed the exhibition, I'm all for it. as a legitimate fight, counting on Floyd's record? No. And the biggest problem I have is what you just said. That's not a legitimate fight. I mean, I'd even rather see him fight another Andre Berto type fighter before I'd want to see him fight Conor McGregor if he's going to go the easiest route. I mean, you might as well just, hey, why don't we just change his record and say he's got 50 wins now? Because, it's just not, it's not the same. But anyway, we can complain about that when and if it happens. But in any event, one last thing I want to ask you your thoughts on. We've always talked about, the cable networks and how fighters, their big goal, especially here in the States, is to get on one of the cable networks, either HBO or Showtime. And in the past, I prefer the HBO broadcast only because I like the production better. Collectively, both Showtime and HBO, I'm not too crazy about the commentators and stuff, but especially with Showtime, the way their lead guy is always yelling and screaming at you. However, with the announcement of the fights that Showtime has committed to bringing us, it seems to me, Larry, that Showtime is I know we had this conversation a couple of years ago, but it seems to me that Showtime, they're separating themselves from HBO. I mean, it seems to me that Showtime is the go-to cable network now for the bigger fights. I mean, what do you think?
Well, it looks that way. It looks that way.
All of a sudden you got real low, Larry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, way better. Yeah. It seems that they're taking the lead, right?
Yeah, it seems like they've pretty much announced an extended schedule going forward, and they seem to be picking up a lot of the I guess almost every fighter is a PBC fighter now anyway, but it seems like that's helping the PBC a lot, because a lot of the fighters that will be shown on these fights are PBC fighters, and PBC has lost or is losing Spike Network, and we've seen less and less of the PBC as time goes on. So this is great, because I think that Al Heyman has done a terrific service to the sport of boxing. I differ with you slightly on the telecast. I'm not into all of the technical stuff, but as far as the Showtime commentators, I could stomach them a little bit more than I can those on HBO, without mentioning any names, because that's not important. I'm talking about from a fan perspective, okay? You got that one guy who seems to be shouting a lot.
He ruins it. He ruins it, Larry. That one guy. And let's make sure we understand. He headlines the show, the Showtime Championship Boxing. The show box he's not on. The other guy is on now. That's like the main guy. But the guy we're referring to, and I'll mention his name. You don't have to. Mario Ranallo. He's the one that brings down. I mean, you got Paulie and Al Bernstein. Both are two knowledgeable guys that are overshadowed by him. He's yelling and screaming, but I don't know. I think if they remove him and put any of the other guys that they have, I think they would blow away HBO.
Well, those guys have those earphones in their ears, so there's people talking to them all the time, and I wonder if they're being told to let him kind of lead like that, because with the knowledge that Paulie and Al Bernstein, with their combined knowledge, it seems like their egos would kick in a little bit and shut this guy down a little bit with some of the nonsense that he says. Roy Jones doesn't have that problem, because he lets you know right away that he's the master of that HBO telecast when it comes to analyzing boxing and the fight. And the other two, they seem afraid to challenge him on certain strategies and issues, and rightfully so, because Roy's been there and done that. They haven't. But the other way, it seems like Bernstein and Paulie, they kind of take a step back and let this guy be out front, like unless they're being told in those earphones. You know, I sat there, so I know what's going on. You got that earphone in your ear, so they might be, you know, somebody might be saying, oh, no, let whatever, Charlo or whatever his name is, let him say this, now you say this. You know what I mean?
Well, I tell you.
And I'm surprised at Paulie, because Paulie's a fighter. You know, fighters got that ego, you know, and he's very knowledgeable. I like him and Bernstein are knowledgeable.
Well, I tell you this, it could be, because I got to take a break here, but I tell you what, it could be the Sugar Ray Leonard situation. They could be saying, hey, listen, we'll throw you a couple extra dollars in your check, you know, if you just shut up and let this other guy take over, because I can't see.
Leave my man Sugar Ray alone now. Leave Ray alone.
No, I give him credit. You know, hey, he's a businessman at the end of the day. Come on, man. I still get goosebumps thinking that he was had to even say that fight was similar.
Oh, my God, Ray.
Oh, man. You know.
Hey, Billy, when he said it, I said, oh, no, Ray, please, don't say that.
Yeah, but, you know, all I know is, hey, listen, come on. Whether people like Sugar Ray Leonard or not, the guy was a great negotiator. So I could just see him prior to, what? You want me to say what? All right, listen, you're going to have to put another couple of zeros on my check for me to say that, you know, but anyway.
I'll forgive him for that. For that reason, I'll forgive him.
That's right, my man. But listen, we'll be talking next week. We got the Berto Sean Porter fight we'll be discussing.
Yeah,
so I look forward to chatting with you next week, brother.
Okay, Billy.
All right, have a good one, Larry.
You too. Take care.
That's Larry Hazard, Boxing Hall of Famer, New Jersey Athletic Commissioner, all of that great stuff. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with the Blast from the Past in about 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Call the number on your screen now and we will contact the IRS on your behalf, help you end wage garnishments, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, get rid of IRS and state tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify.
Let us take the stress of back taxes and the IRS off your shoulders so you can spend time on the important things in your life, like your family or your business. If you owe more than 10 This message is for all Americans that owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS.
Call the number on your screen now and we will contact the IRS on your behalf, help you end wage garnishments, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, get rid of IRS.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to the Billy C. Morning Show, part of the Billy C. Boxing Network. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. And we're still working some bugs out, boys and girls, of some of the TV side. And we will be going live next week on several networks. We'll announce to you, but beginning next week, we will be going live. So we're excited about that. But we need to get some things in place. So if you're watching us on YouTube or on Fight TV and you're seeing some fluctuation on the video end and on the sound end, we apologize, but trust me, it'll be resolved. But speaking of that, right now, it's time for
Blast from the Past. We shine the spotlight again on fighters from years past.
Top ranking. Joe Louis is the leading contender.
Joe Frazier with a left hook. Good right hand thrown by Foreman that time. Look at that left hook. Belt that goes to Ray Mancini.
It's Blast from the Past on Talkin' Boxing.
And this week's Blast from the Past, which is being sponsored by the Title Bout Championship computer game. Download your copy today. Visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the title bout championship banner. And also KO Fantasy Boxing. Check it out, www.kofantasyboxing.com. Features former world heavyweight champion Leon Spinks, Neon Leon, if you will. And joining me right now to tell us all about Neon Leon is my man, Alex Perpali. What's up, Alex?
Good morning, Billy C. How are you?
I'm doing better than some of our video switching is happening, but we should have all of that together. How you doing today?
I am good. I got a little bit, or maybe, no, it's gone. Wow, I had a little bit of an echo, but it's gone. I'm doing very well. You know what? One thing I did learn from last week is the thing that I should do is close the YouTube window because of that second delay. It's almost like you're looking at a funhouse mirror because you might be moving and you're not moving because it's 7 seconds behind or whatever the show. The Skype is live while the show is not.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can't. You don't want to watch the show. Yeah, I mean, forget the show while you're on. But anyway, Leon Spinks. Tell us about Neon Leon, brother.
Yeah, Neon Leon. He's just, if you go to the Hall of Fame, he's a fixture there every year, and he's just one of the great ex-fighters to meet. He's always there, willing to sign stuff, to pose for a picture. Just a really friendly, gregarious guy, he was a heavyweight champion of the world. I guess that's one of the questions I guess we do have is he has not been inducted into the Hall of Fame, but he certainly, if you go to it, he will be part of your experience of going to it. But Leon Spinks, he was born July 11th, 1953. He's 6 foot 1 inch tall, and he fought as a light heavyweight as an amateur. He was incredibly successful as an amateur. He won titles, a world title in 74, bronze medal in the World Championships, a silver medal at the Pan Am Games, and of course a gold medal on that famous Olympic team that included Sugar Ray Leonard, Paul Gonzalez, and his brother Michael Spinks. But the Spinkses, they grew up in Detroit. I'm sorry, I just completely blanked on that. St. Louis, Missouri, and he was in housing projects. I don't have too much about his youth. The thing I also was trying to confirm was I thought he was in the Marines, but I couldn't find years on that, on when he was. But one of the things that was interesting is, and he does have a few superlatives about him, or close to it. He doesn't quite hold the record, but he does have one of the shortest reigns as a heavyweight champion, linear heavyweight champion. That's sort of an unfortunate distinction. But he had a meteoric rise. We talked today, as you were talking with Larry, about Vasily Lomachenko, how few professional fights he has, and at such a high level he's fighting. Well, that was what happened to Leon Spinks. He was only 6-0-1. He had been a professional for just 18 months when he fought the greatest, Muhammad Ali. Ali, of course, was aging, but they fought, and Leon was an 8-1 underdog. But his style was never really a really hard puncher, but he was an aggressive, just pressure guy, and sort of a flailing style. Ali just guaranteed he's going to fade. He'd only been 10 rounds twice. Ali just figured he's going to fade. He never did. He did, it did show on him. After the 8th round, Leon started sitting down between rounds. Up to then, he had been standing between rounds. But he defeats Muhammad Ali. And it was the Ring Magazine's Fight of the Year. and the 15th round, one of the rounds where you figure, the old Ali thinks, well, it is sort of like that piece of steak story, Billy C. In that the stakes were like that. In that, hey, the stakes were like that in that fight, because it was Leon was just 24 years old. Ali, of course, was in the twilight of his career. However, Leon was only the third man to beat Muhammad, and he went ahead and won a split decision.
I watched that fight. I'm old enough to remember it, the Ali fight, and I look at it like this. You're right. He was 6-0-1 going into that fight. The only two names on his resume that could even have justified a fight with a major heavyweight, let alone Muhammad Ali, was Scott Ledoux, who he drew with. And then his fight in November of '77, a month after the Ledoux fight, he beat Alfio Rigetti, who was undefeated at 27-0. And that fight actually catapulted him into his shot with Muhammad Ali. Now, the thing is this. Similar to what you were mentioning at the beginning about Leon Spinks being a fixture at the Hall of Fame and that he's part of the experience. Well, I think that, and basically the reason is because he's such a likable guy. I mean, he's approachable, he's accessible. You buy him a Miller Lite and he'll sit there with you for hours. The truth of the matter is that people like him. The public liked him. And his, popularity in the Olympics and the fact that, Muhammad Ali, I think that all aided getting him that shot. However, at the time of the fight, and to this day, Alex, I always felt that there was some shenanigans with that fight. And the reason why I say that is because if you remember, Muhammad Ali was, by losing that fight and gaining the immediate rematch, he was the first guy to regain the world heavyweight title, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And I think that that was in play. I think that Muhammad Ali might not have tried his hardest in that first fight. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it could be. It certainly had its most, ferocious moments. It doesn't look like Ali's, half-assing it. It was the Ring Magazine's Fight of the Year, and the final round was Round of the Year. The 15th round was Round of the Year. Maybe Ali, miscalculated.
Just took him light. Maybe he took him lightly.
Yeah, I think that could very well be. There was a moment. I think it's actually before the second fight, but I thought this was very telling. During the national anthem, Ali was eyeballing Spinks, and Dundee said to him, "You're not going to psych him. I don't think this guy is bothered by that. He's a happy warrior." And I think that was one of those moments where I think that maybe Ali was like, yeah, this guy, he was somebody, and it's interesting, there was 2 Marines that sort of had Ali's number, because Norton was a Marine as well. I don't know. There's another mention. I only saw this in an article. It was in, I think it's The Guardian. Yeah, it was The Guardian from a few years ago, from 2006, where, no, that's not the one. Anyway, it was another article that there was mention of a brown bottle that that Leon drank from in the corner that may have had a substance in it. Had you ever heard about that?
Actually, no. But back then, I think you were able to get away with that stuff a little more. No, not that water bottle, the one I mixed, But anyway, when you look at Leon Spinks' career, the biggest win on his career was Muhammad Ali. I mean, in addition to his gold medal, winning the world heavyweight title was it. Because when you look at his career, and this is the argument, they feel, the Spinks family feels that he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. But when I look at his record from a accomplishment point of view, The biggest name on there is Muhammad Ali, because as you go through his career, and obviously his overall career record is not an attractive one. All the big name fighters that he fought, the two fights with Muhammad Ali, you exclude them, but Jerry Coetzee, Larry Holmes, Carlos De Leon, Dwight Muhammad Quay, Jose Ribalta, and even I'll get to that in a second, but those are the biggest names on his resume, and he lost to all those guys, and in a lot of cases he was knocked out. So whether it was a dedication issue, whether we all know that Leon Spinks liked to party a bit, still does to this day. There's an argument that does say that maybe he doesn't belong just for the one signature win.
Yes, and I think I think the only guy that comes to mind, and I don't, sometimes, I think maybe when you make allusions to other guys and comparisons to other guys, people get real offended because they think they're so off balance. But in some ways, I can't help but think of Randy Turpin. Randy Turpin's claim to the Hall of Fame is mainly because of one win, even though he does have a substantial career as well. He's far more consistent, and was a much more impressive boxer and disciplined boxer than Leon Spinks. I think that's where Leon suffers tremendously, is sort of wasted talent and what could have been. Because like you said, the partying issue, but see, that's what makes for a heavyweight champion and makes for such great copy for reporters, and why this sport is so much fun. One of my favorite books is this book, Blood Season, by Phil Berger. The late Phil Berger used to write for the New York Times. And the whole idea of the book is that, boxing doesn't really have a season. So he took just this arbitrary chunk of time where he was covering the sport and writes about that. Of several years, and then it includes the development of Mike Tyson and Larry Holmes and Michael Spinks in the heavyweight division. And one of the things he talks about is how Bob Arum was the guy who bought Leon's contract, and Butch Lewis, this is where I guess he really got his start. He worked for Arum, and one of his main responsibilities was to keep Leon in training. Leon used to do something that was called swooping. That's what he called it, where he would bolt from training camp and just leave and go party and drink. He liked alcohol, and that alcohol, and not only boxing itself, but alcohol is something that eventually led to his health problems. Although I think, in some of the articles, they kind of try to gloss over that, Of course, that's not nice for anybody, I have to admit. Yeah, he liked to party, and that was another thing that Arum said, that even 2 weeks before the Ali rematch, he was out every night drinking. And Ali himself had a story where there was one morning, where he was in the last few days before their rematch, where he was going out to do a light run. And as he was going out in the morning, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., in comes Leon with a woman on each arm. He's coming in. So that's how seriously I think he took the sport at some points.
It reminds me of Vinny Pazienza. But, I know Leon pretty well, and I'll tell you, the one thing that really stands out for me is one time when I actually first met him on a personal level. He was up at the Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame for their first year, and I was there doing a broadcast, and Leon ended up hanging out with us, and we had a really good time. But here we are in this gala, so to speak, and this woman, people from the area were all coming up to Leon, and this woman comes up, and she wanted to take a picture. And Leon's standing there, and he goes to take the picture, and she kind of looked at him, and Leon knew exactly what she was afraid to ask him, and that was to take out his teeth and pose with the famous shot of him without his front teeth. And apparently, Alex, he must have to do that so often. And you know, it gave me an inside look at his character, and that it didn't bother him. A lot of people might have been self-conscious about that, but Leon didn't bat an eye, took out his teeth, stood there with the famous smile, missing his front teeth, and snapped the photo. And from that point on, you know, he really, as a human being, he's a really good guy. And I was glad to have witnessed that, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. There's tremendous dignity to him. He's very charismatic in his way. He's not, you know, a bragging or boasting type of a guy, champion like an Ali or, you know, like a Vinny Pazienza or so many other characters like that at the game. You know, and now that you mentioned that, I completely forgot to just talk about the teeth. That actually did come while he was in the Marines, when he was sparring, and thanks to Coach for in the chat room for mentioning that he confirmed that he was in the Marines from 73 to 76, and it was when he was boxing in the Marines, I think it was a headbutt actually, that hit his teeth and they had to be removed. And he had a big plate, and eventually, you know, as he got more successful, it became a gold plate. And as you said, there's just great stories about him, and he is a sort of good-natured guy, a good-natured guy. And that I think that Angelo Dundee description of a happy warrior is just so terrific. He was at one point he was mugged in '81. He claimed he was mugged. He didn't really remember. Somebody hit him over the head. And he remembers, you know, grappling with this person. He said he tried to bite them, and that's when his plate came out, and then the guy hit him over his head. The plate was made of gold, so the guy swiped it. He never got a good look at the guy, but he woke up in a motel. He couldn't press charges. They didn't know who it was. He didn't need any medical attention, though. But you're right. I mean, that's one of the things that is a knock on him. He does have a win over the greatest. That is, and it's a great fight. But when he fought other great fighters, he didn't lose. He got his ass kicked. Yeah, I mean, Dwight Muhammad Qawi, a Hall of Famer, crushed him. Larry Holmes, a Hall of Famer, crushed him. He did beat Alfredo Evangelista. You know, he's knocked him out. But like you said, Jerry Coetzee knocked out Leon Spinks. Carlos De Leon stopped him. In terms of, and even Jose Rebalta, you know, who, you know, was never a top contender, but definitely, well, you know, he definitely was top 15, I would say top 12 heavyweights in the 80s. And he stopped Leon in a round. So yeah, his credentials are kind of thin.
Right. You know, he did retire after 1988, but after a 3-year layoff, he decided to make a comeback, and he was successful in the beginning. You know, rattled off 5 wins in a row before suffering a loss to Kevin Porter in 1992. But a bit of boxing history, and it's a great trivia question, and I have a personal connection to it, was his fight that took place on October 22nd in 1994. He fought a guy named John Carlo. Now, John Carlo is a close friend of mine. We went to school together. And the trivia question goes like this. And John Carlo, I could tell you a lot of stories about this fight that we don't have time for right now. But John Carlo and I were working with a fighter named Felice. And the truth of the matter is that Felice didn't want to fight Spinks and wasn't able to or whatever. And they ended up talking John into stepping in the ring and fighting Leon Spinks. And John Carlo knocked out Leon Spinks in 1 round in Washington, D.C. Now, the thing about this fight, the trivia question is, who is the only fighter in boxing history to make his pro debut against a former undisputed world heavyweight, because at the time when he won the title from Ali the first time, not the second fight because he had been stripped, there were really two titles available at that time, two major titles, the WBC and WBA. And the question is, who is the only pro debuter to knock out a former world heavyweight champion? And the answer is John Carlo. John Carlo knocked out Leon Spinks on October 22nd in 1994. Leon Spinks would go ahead and fight another fight against a 1-2-1 guy. Took him 8 rounds to do it, then lost his last fight of his career in 1995 against a 13-3 Fred Hoop. So that was the end of Leon's career for good. Any final thoughts on him before you tell us about how he probably didn't fare too well in the Title Bout Championship computer game?
Yeah. I just wanted to say that, after boxing, you're right, he did, it does sound like he had some difficulties in the 90s. At one point, he was living in a homeless shelter, but then he later moved to Nebraska, and he became a custodian at a YMCA and also worked for a while at a McDonald's where he earned $5.15 an hour and half price off Big Macs and any other food he wanted. The other thing he did was work at autograph shows where he would go to gigs and like a Saturday morning where they do a baseball card show and Leon would be there signing hats and autographs and stuff. And he was diagnosed with shrinkage of the brain in 2012 caused by the punches that he took throughout his career. But yeah, like you said, right now he's currently with I think his third wife. It's sad. Two of the biggest losses of his life financially, Billy C, are ones we see quite a bit. An ex-wife who at one point had custody of that gold plate from his teeth, and the IRS. He did have trouble with managers. He made $125,000 in his first fight with Ali. This is how successful he became, how quick. $3.5 million just a few months later in the rematch. He claimed he never saw a penny of the $3.5 million, but of course I'm sure he got taxed on it.
Yeah. The IRS is the biggest winner in the sport of boxing. They usually knock out all of the best of them. Hey, we're running out of time, Alex. So how did he fare with the title bout?
I put him in against Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko. Against Anthony Joshua, the first time they fought, he actually won a unanimous decision.
Wow.
One score of 115-110 and 2 scores of 114-111. When they fight 100 times, he actually does best. Joshua, he wins 54, loses 44, 2 draws. He wins 38 by KO. Anthony Joshua scores 34 knockouts, and maybe it's just the inexperience of Joshua. I don't know. I also put him in against Vlad Klitschko because their fight's coming up. Vlad Klitschko, the first time they fight, stops him in 8 rounds, 2:14 of the 8th. He had Leon down 3 times in round 8, and when they box 100 times, Leon wins 7. Vlad wins 92. There's 1 draw. Every time Leon won was by KO, and Vlad stopped him 66 times.
I'm surprised that the title bout has him dominating Anthony Joshua. I really am. I mean, the size difference alone, a good big man will beat a good small man. I mean, like you said, he was 6'1", wasn't a big guy, and I mean, the biggest win on his record was Muhammad Ali, and as exciting as the fight was, it still was a close fight, a split decision, no knockout. I don't know. Sometimes I scratch my bald head about that. But Leon Spinks, former gold medal winner, in 1976. He had an excellent amateur career, 178 wins with only 7 losses. And at the time when they didn't wear headgear, in the amateurs, there was a lot of knockouts. He had 133 knockouts of those 178 wins as an amateur. So from an amateur point of view, he was extremely successful. He was the former world heavyweight champion when he beat Ali. Like Alex said, very short-lived, though. He had a career record, 26 wins, 14 by knockout, and 17 losses, in which he was stopped 9 times. He did have 3 draws, had a career knockout percentage of 30%. Leon Spinks, our blast from the past today. And great job as usual. Alex, you got about 30 seconds. Any thoughts on the fights from last week? We're going to be doing another show for the fights this weekend, so we'll get your thoughts on that. But as far as Ricky Burns losing to Indongo, did you get a chance to watch that one?
Unfortunately, I did not see that fight either, but I was at the Sullivan Barrera card. That was a joke. And I don't know. That was an interesting fight. I mean, I guess it was normal what happened, but I think maybe that's a good thing. I wonder if what Larry thought of that, the headbutt that affected the main event there, Barrera versus Parker. You know, you don't see that too often where a guy takes the full 5 minutes to recover from an accidental butt.
Well, they all should.
A lot of times the guy's not even offered 5 minutes to recover from an accidental headbutt.
Well, a lot of guys should take the time. But, Alex, we got to take a break. Great job as usual, and we'll look forward to you next time, brother.
Sounds good. Take care. Thanks.
That's Alex Papali. You can always catch the review of what he's doing on A Blast from the Past. Make your requests right on our website, www.billycboxing.com. Going to take a short break. We'll be back in 2.
The Billy C. Morning Show will be right back. Part of the Billy C. Boxing Network.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretch of that man, I would
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York in the good old U.S. of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell them Billy C sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
Now back to the Billy C. Morning Show. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com. Part of the Billy C. Boxing Network.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could join us. I want to give a special shout out to all of our viewers on Fight TV. Don't forget to download our app. Just go to Fight. That's F-I-T-E. Fight.tv/Billy C. Download our app today. Today. Speaking of today, joining us again is Sal Rocky Senecola. And Sal, we got another email I wanted to read real quick. This one is from my man Chase. And, Chase says, hey, Billy C. and Sal. I'm a big fan of when you and Sal ponder fantasy matchups, and wanted to get both of your opinions on a prime 2004 to 2005 Jermaine Taylor against a prime. They're already looking at Triple G as past his prime. A prime 2013-2015 Triple G. My personal opinion is definitely Taylor being outclassed, but as an athlete, he would have been in. It would have been fun for a while it lasted. Loved the show, and I'm thrilled that it's going to be on for 5 days. Hey, just so you guys know, this show was on for 5 days a week for 12 of the 14 years, or at least 11 of the 14 years. We just kicked back at the end of last year, as we were putting some final things in place. Plus, the sport itself got so slow with stuff to talk about. The last thing you guys want to hear is Sal and I ramble on more than we do, But to give you that thought, I love the question, and I'll tell you why, Sal. Jermaine Taylor, in my opinion, was a fantastic middleweight leading up to the point he won the title. When he was on the rise, when Jermaine Taylor was on the rise, fighting the fights that he had to fight in order to get a shot at the world title, which incidentally was against Bernard Hopkins, he was great. He really was. When he won the world title, once he won that world title, in my opinion, he changed. Now, whether it was because the money finally got there, whether he thought who he was, whatever, he wasn't the same. He became a boring fighter, and his skills diminished after that. That's my opinion. Now, to get to the question, who would have won a prime Triple G against a prime Jermaine Taylor? If we're talking about the Jermaine Taylor prior to him winning the title, which is the way I'm going to look at, against a Triple G, even looking at Triple G and his performances in his last couple of fights, I'm going to lean towards Triple G, and the reason why is because the weak link of Jermaine Taylor, and actually I was ringside for when he got knocked out against Carl Froch. As a matter of fact, I was there with Dax. The weak link of Jermaine Taylor was his chin. He was a great athlete. He had great hand speed. He had pop behind his punches. He had a solid defense, but his weakest link was his chin. And because of that, I would have picked Triple G, because Triple G, not only do I still think he's one of the best ring generals in the sport, he seemingly has a solid chin. He's been hit with some pretty powerful shots from big punchers, but he has knocked out fighters with his pop. I picked Triple G, even though I really loved Jermaine Taylor prior to the B-Hop fights. After that, he wasn't the same fighter. What's your thoughts, Sal?
Well, I got to share your thoughts there, pal. Even if I saw those two fighters in their prime as we're doing this fantasy boxing, you can't enter the ring with a weak chin against Triple G. And I just see G as the consummate fighter who will assess his opponent, and he will use what's necessary in his arsenal to break down his opponent. And I see Triple G winning that fight big time, convincingly.
Yeah, I would think that he would stop Taylor.
I think so.
But anyway,
no disrespect to Taylor. I just do. You're looking at two great warriors, and one's going to be happier than the other.
Well, that's the case in every fight. One guy's happier than the other. A couple of quick things I wanted to throw in here is Arthur Abraham. At one point, he was my favorite middleweight. He since has moved up to super middleweight and hasn't been effective, but he had said he was going to retire, and he's still fighting. And he's fighting this weekend. He's taking on Robin Krasnicki. And this fight is they had the final press conference yesterday. And Robin Krasnicki said, I have the maximum respect for Arthur. He's a big name, has achieved everything. But in the ring, there can only be one winner. I've trained long and hard for my dream to become a world champ. As always, I've been diligent and disciplined. Everything I've done in the last 6 months, I'm going to show everyone on Saturday. The reward is clear victory, and the chance to win a world title championship is my reward. Arthur Abraham said, I'm a person who doesn't speak much, so let my actions speak. I'll show you in the ring how we've trained. I'm going to win and fight for this championship. After that, a few title defenses, but now we're focusing on this fight. Both fighters have a good level. The fans can look forward to it. No matter who's in front of me, they must be beaten. In the ring, there is just one thing: I want to win, and I want to will myself to win.
Good words.
Here's the thing, though, Sal. It's an elimination fight.
Right.
So the winner gets a title. Arthur Abraham says, I have one thing I'm going to win, and then after that, a few title defenses. Well, that kind of tells me right off the bat he's looking past this fight. I mean, you're not going to get the title shot or the title defenses unless you win this fight this weekend.
That's right. That's right.
So, right off the bat, I question that. Plus, when you add the biggest weakness that Arthur Abraham had in the ring was his turtle shell defense and how he gave up literally the first 4 rounds of the fights. People have seen in the past fighters that have come out on top have exposed that and took advantage of him not throwing many punches and taking those first 4 rounds and put him in the bank. When you add the aging factor, I think it's going to be a tough night for Arthur Abraham. But one thing I will say, Sal, I don't know if you've seen any photos of Robin Krasnicki. He's got the nose that Arthur Abraham should bust up. I mean, talk about an eagle beak. I mean, I got the big schnozola myself. But let me tell you, it's not as huge as Robin Krasnicki. And if I'm Arthur Abraham, one of the things I want to go for is that schnozola. What do you think?
Well, it's a good target. I mean, you pop him in the nose, that's gonna splinter and break, and there's gonna be all kinds of trouble if that's the case. But I mean, the guy's been proven. He's been in the ring, so that nose is pretty durable. But we'll see. But yeah, I agree.
The truth of the matter is, Sal, only the nose knows. So,
only the nose knows. That's very good, Bill. The nose knows.
You like that, huh? You like that? That's
like
along
that.
the lines of those mugs you got in your hand right now.
I like that mug.
Hey, listen, I just wanted two-fisted coffee drinker.
Look at that.
I just want to mention that, we were talking about the Indongo fight. Everybody kind of wants to see a full unification. He's got 2 of the belts. Terrence Crawford's got 2 of the belts. But unfortunately, because of the way the boxing business works, you got the mandatory challenger for the IBF version of the title is Lipitz. And, Sergey Lipitz says he doesn't want to take any step-aside money. It's a shame, Sal, because, and quite honestly, Terrence Crawford has a fight with Diaz Jr. Coming up. You don't think that Indongo is going to fight, Lipitz right away. So, to have these guys' paths meet, I wish that the sanctioning bodies were more receptive of unifications. And I think that the fact that they're not, and they have all these elimination fights and interim belts and everything else, actually prevents, I'm not inventing this. We all know this. It prevents unifications. And after all, when I speak with boxing fans, Sal, I get a lot of different opinions on who was good, compared to today's fighters versus yesterday's and everything else. But I do get one common belief, even though there is a lot of young fans out there that like the multiple belts and seem to think that it gives fighters more of a chance to make money, et cetera, which in a sense it does. But most fans all agree on one thing. Most boxing fans all agree on one thing, and that is that they like unified champions. In your opinion, Sal, shouldn't these sanctioning bodies work more closely with each other? Because by not doing so and by keeping the division in the sport, eventually it's going to catch up to them. I think that the fact that the champions are not even recognizable, and most diehard boxing fans couldn't name all the champions in every single division. Isn't it better for them to support the unification versus kicking it to the curb?
Well, 100%. I agree with you. And here's the thing: every sanctioning body will recognize their champion and let them utilize that commodity of who's the champion, and elongate a career or title for promotional and money-making reasons for as much as they can do it or how much they can get away with it. But the bottom line is, it's usually the fans' outcry for clarity and unification that drives this. I mean, it was a lot easier when it was just the WBA and WBC. and it became even manageable when there was the IBF that popped up. Then the WBO and everything else, and the interim and everything else. It's too much, guys and gals. It's too much out there. There's got to be some process where you can unify these titles and have, like Boom Boom Mancini says, there's only one world. You know, like I said, let them flail away, let them utilize their commodity for a while, but eventually the fans got to outcry for unification. Let's recognize one champion.
You know, what we're basically asking these sanctioning bodies to do is take the claws out of their cash cow, and none of them want to do it. I mean,
like
listen,
said, it's the greed or need, Bill, and they've got the greed. They don't have that need, so they're already fulfilling their one need, which is the greed.
Well, the bottom line is that's how their revenue stream comes, through sanctioning fees. So when they do an elimination fight or an interim belt, they're whacking the promoter and the fighter for sanctioning fees. So to suggest that they would just walk away. But the problem is right here, you know, Indongo wins a fight against Ricky Burns, unifies the title. Now he's got 2 of the 4 major sanctioning bodies. And who's the other guy with the other 2? Terrence Crawford. It's a natural fight that could not only help the fighter. I mean, here we are. You know, there's a lot of people that are always saying, oh, the poor fighter, the poor fighter. Well, here's a guy that has never made anything money-wise, big money, in Julius Indongo. And he goes into Ricky Burns' backyard in Scotland, and he wins. And he unifies the title. You know, this is a guy that deserves a big money fight against a major star like Terrence Crawford. No disrespect to Sergey Lipitz. I know that, you know, he has earned a mandatory shot, but to make a statement like we are not going to take step-aside money, well, now all of a sudden, you know, how I'm blaming the sanctioning bodies, well, now let's blame the fighter and the management team because they're preventing it. You know, he doesn't lose anything by taking step-aside money. As long as it's all agreed that the winner of the potential Terrence Crawford-Indongo fight has to face Lipitz, what does he care? He still gets a shot at a title, and he still gets an extra payday. The only thing that you could argue if you're Team Lipitz is that they feel they could beat Indongo, and they don't feel they could beat Terrence Crawford, so they feel that they could, you know, gather a title up and then have some mandatory defenses. I don't know, Sal, but it doesn't end well. So
no, but I think you're right on. In fact, Billy, I think you should be an advisor to some of these sanctioning bodies, and maybe give them a little bit of the fans' perspective and everything else. That would be good. In fact, the WBC should now stand for with Billy C.
Oh, whoa, hey, thanks,
hey, I like that.
But you know, the truth of the matter is I was involved with the sanctioning body, and quite honestly, you know, they're all about the money. It's kind of sickening. You know, people that think that they're out there, they try to paint the picture, especially the WBC tries to paint the picture that they're for the good of the sport, and it's such a smokescreen. It's nauseating. You know, the one thing I admired prior to Golden Boy buying it, because then that changed the whole complexion, but the ring title, you know, there was no sanctioning fee for it. And it was the linear championship. It was the belt that, you know, went all the way back basically to, in a sense, I mean, obviously the Ring magazine wasn't out for John L. Sullivan, but that belt pretty much was the linear title. It was lost in the shuffle. I mean, you need a GPS system to follow the linear titles now. But hey, you like that one, huh?
I like that. That's pretty good. Huh?
Occasionally I come up with some. I don't have a coffee mugs like you, but I come up with some good ones. But anyway, let me just fill you guys in on some scheduling stuff. We will not be doing a live show tomorrow. We will be back on Friday. Now, beginning Monday, we will be doing live shows every day, 5 days a week, and we're excited about that. Now, a lot of people have been questioning and emailing me about this weekend's post-fight shows. Now, here's the problem. There's 2 events on this weekend. Now, when we do a post-fight show, we like to discuss, you know, the fight that obviously that we're doing a post-fight show on, and then if there's any, you know, relevant fights. Now, this weekend there's the pay-per-view that Top Rank is putting on that I'm not a big fan of, the pay-per-view. Oscar Valdez and Miguel Mariaga is the main event, and then Gilberto Ramirez against Max Bursak and Jesse Magladeno against Adelson Dos Santos are the three main events. And also on that card in the featherweight division, a gold medalist for the United States, Shakir Stevenson, will be making his pro debut against Edgar Brito, who's got 6 fights under his belt. He's 3-2-1. Now, I don't know if that's going to be part of the pay-per-view broadcast or not, but the 3 major fights are the Valdez, Mariaga, Ramirez, Bursak, Magladeno, Dos Santos. The other fight that the majority of the people are going to be watching are the Sean Porter against Andre Berto fight and Jamal Charlo against Charles Hatley fight, which will be broadcast on Showtime. My thoughts on this, Sal, and I'm looking for your quick thoughts. If we do a post-fight, we got to focus on one fight, which means one fight card, which means I won't be able to watch both live. I'll have to pre-record one, which also means I'm not going to want to hear any results. So I'm wondering if it's advantageous for us to hold off the post-fight show one more week and focus on the Anthony Joshua. That's what I'm leaning toward. What's your thoughts, Sal?
I was thinking the same thing as you were rattling off all the fights, and I think we could do a synopsis. We could do a semi-post-fight Monday morning about recapping what we saw over the weekend and give our opinions. But I think we should zoom in full force and just wait for that Anthony Joshua fight, and that would be a big one to do, that post-fight. That's definitive.
Oh, there's no doubt. We're definitely doing.
That's it.
As a matter of fact, we time has went by so fast. It was one of the fights we wanted to do at Sal's down in St. Simon's, but it's here already. Listen, if we get overwhelming requests to do one or the other this weekend, I will do it. But other than that, I think we're going to lean towards doing our next post fight after the Joshua Klitschko fight. There's so much ramifications for the sport of boxing, not only just the heavyweight division, but the whole sport itself for that fight. So that's a layup. And that post fight show, boys and girls, will be early because that fight will be airing live, I believe, around 5 p.m. So that'll be an early post fight, which is going to be pretty difficult for Sal. But in any event, if you do want this weekend, I got to hear from you, over the next 24 hours. So drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. Any final thoughts, Sal Santacola?
I'll tell you what, it was a great show. I love the segment with Larry and also with Alex. I'd love to hear about Leon Spinks. Of course, we saw the Spinks brothers last time you and I were at the Boxing Hall of Fame, and Leon is just that kind of guy, gregarious. And, it's a shame. I think they really do have to consider putting him in a Boxing Hall of Fame. I mean, he did beat, and he was a heavyweight champion of the world. I mean, he's certainly not the first-round draft pick there or first-round offering, but I think eventually he should be included. He had a good career, and he was a heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, but
I know.
It's tough. I mean, his only big win was Ali. I mean, we rattled off all the other losses, but he's such a likable guy. And, I've always said the Hall of Fame, not only do they have to be great at their sport, but they also have to have made an impact on the sport. And Leon Spinks certainly did. Hey, listen.
He did.
No, there's no question about that. Listen, make sure you tune in. And don't forget, starting Monday, we're going to be 5 days a week again. We're bringing that back, so we're excited about that. But make sure you tune in next time, which is Friday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.